Minato, the legendary 4th Hokage, the greatest hero of the Hidden Leaf Village, sacrificed himself to save everyone and left his only son Naruto living in poverty. Yes, seriously, if you've ever wondered how the son of the great 4th Hokage could be so poor, you're in the right place. Naruto spent his entire childhood living in a simple apartment, eating instant ramen, and, as we saw at the beginning of the manga, even drinking spoiled milk. And that makes no sense at all, right? After all, the boy was the son of one of the most powerful and famous ninjas of all time. So the question is, shouldn't he have received a large inheritance from his father? The answer to this mystery isn't as simple as it seems. To uncover what really happened to Minato's inheritance, we need to understand the role of the 3rd Hokage, because yes, the reality is that he played an extremely important part in this story, and the reason behind it is a detail that changes everything we thought we knew about Naruto's childhood. To do that, we first need to understand Naruto's situation as a child, because truthfully, the little guy barely had money to eat. Think about it. All of Naruto's money was in his toad wallet, which, well, was almost always empty. In fact, there was one time when the toad wallet was full. It was during that festival with Jiraiya, and Naruto was very proud, saying he had saved from every mission to fill the wallet. However, as you might expect, the perverted sage managed to take the money for his research, and well, the wallet was empty again. And it didn't stop there. Naruto lived in a very humble apartment that, from what it seems from afar, certainly wasn't in the best part of the village.
Today's the day, so let's chow down.
We also know that he drank spoiled milk and that his diet was mostly instant ramen. Even Kakashi himself commented on this, because, let's be honest, it's not exactly the most nutritious food in the world. And in reality, we know that instant ramen is synonymous with cheap food, so it's impossible not to ask, if Naruto was poor, where the heck was his father's inheritance? This is where the story gets interesting. To find out where this money went, we first need to have an idea of how much money the 4th Hokage would have had. And, well, Minato was absurdly wealthy. Look, according to the official data books, his ninja career was meteoric. To give you an idea, we can divide the missions by ranking. Rank D missions are for newly graduated ninjas. They're low-risk tasks like retrieving a cat or watering plants. The reward is low, between 5,000 and 50,000 RIO. Rank C missions are for more experienced genin and involve greater responsibilities, like protecting a group from bandits. Remember Tezuna's mission in the Land of Waves arc? It was originally rank C. The reward ranges between 30,000 and 100,000 Ryo. This mission was reclassified by Kakashi to rank B or even A after it was revealed that deadly ninjas, like the Demon Brothers, were after him, posing a much greater threat than expected. And the reason Tezuna lied about the difficulty of that mission was because they didn't have enough money to pay for a rank B mission or higher. Missions of this level are for newly promoted Chunin and Junin, and here it gets more serious. With the possibility of combat and espionage, the payment is already considerably high, between 80,000 and 120,000 Ryo. Rank A missions are for Junin and higher level ninjas. They involve missions of all kinds, but at a high level. The reward is high, from 150,000 up to 1 million Ryo. Finally, rank S missions are for the most experienced Junin and even Kage level ninjas. These are extremely dangerous missions, such as assassinations or infiltrations. Jiraiya's last mission is a perfect example, and the reward is a true treasure, exceeding 1 million Ryo.
依頼リストには多種多様な依頼が記されておって、難易度の高い順に A、B、C、D とランク分けされておる。
Now that I've explained how the mission ranks work, consider this information. Minato completed a total of 847 official missions, with 122 rank D, 147 rank C, 216 rank B, 323 rank A, and 39 rank S. Think about it. Minato became a ninja at 10 and died at 24. He had about 14 years of career, but only 13 spent on missions, since his last year was as Hokage. That gives an incredible average of missions per year. And to give you perspective, Jiraiya, who died at 54, became a ninja at 7 and had about 47 years of career. Although Jiraiya holds the record for the most missions in Konoha's history, with 1,839 in total, Minato was far more productive, completing many more missions per year than Jiraiya himself, and many of them were high level. And we can't forget that, as Hokage, Minato certainly received a more than substantial salary. With all of this, it's clear that Minato had a considerable fortune. So the question remains, why didn't all that money go to Naruto? The most accepted answer within the universe is that the money was under the control of the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. We know that Hiruzen took care of Naruto after Minato and Kushina were gone, and he paid Naruto's apartment bills, like water, electricity, etc. Little Naruto simply didn't have cash on hand. He lived in an apartment that seemed to be in a very humble neighborhood of the village.
今月の生活費じゃ。無駄遣いするでないぞ。
And then we ask ourselves, Minato and Kushina's house, the house of a Hokage and the heir of the Uzumaki clan, shouldn't it have been a large and important place? Why didn't their son live there? Think about it. It's very likely that the house was destroyed during the Nine Tails attack, but the option that makes the most sense is that Hiruzen wanted to protect Naruto. Letting Naruto live in the former home of the fourth Hokage would have been the fastest way to reveal his identity, making him an easy target for enemies and even for villagers who hated him. Moving him to an old and discreet apartment was the best way to keep him safe. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? This was a boy who grew up in solitude and never had an authority figure to teach him the value of money. If he had received a fortune out of nowhere, he probably would have spent it all on ramen and toys in a week, ending up helpless again. Hiruzen, knowing this, decided to manage the inheritance. He used the money to ensure that Naruto always had a roof over his head and a safe place, but he didn't put the money directly in the boy's hands. The goal was precisely to prevent him from spending it all on trivial things and becoming unprotected. However, there is another explanation. The truth is that there's an even simpler reason for Naruto's poverty. An excellent explanation is that the series creator, Kishimoto, wanted this character to be an underestimated hero. Many say that Naruto isn't an unlikely hero because he had Kurama, the Nine-Tails fox, but the truth is he was cursed from the day he was born. That's why the fox was the source of his rejection in the village. To further emphasize his struggle and make us identify with him, Kishimoto needed to make him poor. The story didn't just need a hero who overcame rejection, but one who also overcame poverty. Think of a wealthy character. We can't relate to their problems, right? The audience connects much more with the struggle of a hero who must overcome rejection, loneliness, and poverty.
I wish your grandma
I'm a
was
ninja
here.
now. I can eat.
Proud of you. I'm proud of you, son. We all are.
Congratulations! All your favorites.
And that's exactly what we see in Naruto. If he were rich, we wouldn't feel as much empathy for his journey, and the story wouldn't have the same impact. Sasuke, for example, lived in a mansion in one of the village's best neighborhoods and never seemed to have financial problems. He probably also had access to the Uchiha clan's funds, which emphasizes the contrast between Sasuke's comfortable life and Naruto's difficult one. We can even mention Hinata, the heir of the Hyuga clan, the richest and most noble family in Konoha. She grew up in a gigantic mansion, surrounded by servants, with an inheritance guaranteed, but her struggle was internal, against shyness and family pressure. While Hinata fought to find courage, Naruto fought to afford dinner. The creator is a genius if you think about it, because this way he connects the character with the audience watching him, who dreams and aspires to be someone in life. In the end, Naruto was poor for two main reasons. Hiruzen managed the money to ensure his safety, honoring Kushina's last wish. Kishimoto wanted him to be a character we could truly relate to and root for. But then we need to look at the human side of the matter. Even with Hiruzen paying the bills and, in quotes, protecting Naruto's identity, the spoiled milk scene shows that the third Hokage failed at something much simpler, giving attention. After all, a simple act of care, like teaching him about food expiration dates, would have at least been a sign of affection for him, and I'm sure it would have helped the old man avoid having so many haters.
俺の父ちゃんと母ちゃんは誰なんだ？そんでどんな人だったんだ？
それを聞いてもせんないこと。亡くなったものが蘇ることはない。
And what about Kakashi? He constantly lamented failing to protect his master, who had asked him to look after Kushina, and even knowing who Naruto was, he never sought him out, failing to keep his promise to watch over his sensei's son, at least in the beginning. And Jiraiya, Naruto's godfather, who only appeared years later to teach him the Rasengan, his father's technique. You could even make a joke saying he charged for the lessons and spent the money Naruto had saved from missions on companions during that festival. In the end, Naruto's poverty wasn't a mistake, but part of a bigger plan that unfortunately caused him to suffer from the neglect of people who, in theory, loved him. But well, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, leave your like, and comment what you thought. With nothing more to add, I say goodbye. Until next time.